You got paid. Now what do you do with your money? Spend it, throw it all in your checkings account, invest it all? Today we're going over exactly where your money should be going as soon as it hits your bank account so you can fully enjoy every single dollar of it. And the last one that we talk about is going to be your favorite, so make sure to stick around to the end. Okay, I sort of did lie with this first step. This isn't when your paycheck hits your bank account, but it's before you even get taxed. The first thing you should do with your paycheck from your job is invest in your 401k. And how much exactly? Up to your company's match. See, a lot of companies out there will incentivize people to invest in their 401k with a match. There's many different ways that this match could be structured, but for the most part, they'll match 100% of whatever you put into your 401k up to a certain percentage. So that means if you put 4% of your paycheck into your 401k, your company will also put 4% of your paycheck for free into your 401k. But that match is capped. In that situation, they gave 4% because you put in 4%. But sometimes if you put 10% in your paycheck, they'll only put in 4% because that's the most that they'll invest for you. You can put as much as you want up to the limit, but the match only goes so high. And the 401k limit is just over $22,000 a year, so you don't have to stress maxing that out, but you should really pay attention to your company's match and invest up to that match. Now the second step is where the money hits your bank account, and this should be absolutely the first step, well, the second step total with your paycheck, but the first step when your money's into your account, and that's investing into your emergency fund. Your emergency fund is a fund that's comprised of 3 to 6 months of your expenses, sometimes up to 12 if you have a less stable job or it's harder to find a new job, that would be used in a situation if you're ever to lose a job and you need to pay your bills or pay your mortgage and everything else you have to pay for. One thing about this emergency fund that is the most critical rule about this emergency fund, and I'm going to yell at you if you do this, is do not invest your emergency fund. An emergency fund is not meant to make you money. It's meant to protect you in case anything was to happen. If you do want to make some money on your emergency fund, you can put this in a high yield savings account, which is offering about 3 to 5% depending on where you invest it. If you feel safer putting this in cash so you have instant access to it, or keeping this in a checkings account, that's fine. Just know you're going to be losing some money to inflation every single year. The next step that you should do with your money right when you get paid may apply to some people, but may not apply to everyone, and that is paying off your high interest debt. High interest debt is considered anything above 5, 6, 7%, and you can figure that out with the cost of inflation, plus how much of a return you can get on your money if you're going to invest it and have it work for you. For example, if you have a 3% interest rate on your house, but you're able to store that money, get 5%, it makes sense to keep paying that off slowly, not pay ahead of that debt, because you can store that at 5%, take 3% with that, and be left over with 2%. But on the other hand, if you have a student loan at 10, 9%, you want to pay that off first because it's such a high interest rate. If you were to invest that money into the stock market, you would probably get 8, 9, 10%, but it's not guaranteed. By paying off 10% interest debt, you're getting a guaranteed 10% return on your money. High interest debt could include things like a car loan, definitely credit cards, which is sitting at a pretty 20 to 25% interest rate right now, or student loan debt depending on what your rate is. So once you've paid off your high interest debt, you've invested up to your 401k match, and you've built up that emergency fund, the next place your money should go is into a Roth IRA. A Roth IRA is an individual retirement account, which sadly doesn't have a company's match because you don't need a company to open one. This is not company sponsored. This is something you can open up on your own. But since this is a Roth account and not a traditional account, both tax advantage, but in different ways, you're paying with your post-tax dollars after you got taxed through your paycheck. The advantage with a Roth IRA is when you go to retire at 59 and a half or 60 years old, the money you take out from that account, whether it's $3, whether it's $100, whether it's $10 million, that is tax-free. If this wasn't a traditional 401k, you would have to pay taxes then and not pay taxes now because they're tax deductible now. And the powerful thing about the Roth IRA is it doesn't matter what happens to the taxes down the road. If the capital gains taxes goes up to 50%, oh well, you already paid your taxes and your Roth IRA is tax-free. The Roth IRA is such a powerful account that the contribution limit is just $6,500 every single year, which is just under $550 a month or $275 a paycheck if you get paid bi-weekly like I do. I'm not saying you need to completely max out the $6,500 in your Roth IRA, but you should definitely be taking advantage of this tax advantage because you're gonna love it when you retire.
I don't want to tie up so much of my money in retirement. I'm already putting my 401k. I don't want to put in my Roth IRA. It's going to be locked up until retirement.
Well, the great thing about the Roth IRA is anything you put into your Roth IRA, unlike the 401k, you can withdraw. You can withdraw 100% of your contributions into your Roth IRA. But anything you make, like the gains and depreciation and dividends, you cannot take out without paying a fine. So if you're 25 years old and you put in $10,000, 10 years later you're 35, if I did my math right, I hope so, and your money grew to $25,000. That means you've had a growth of $15,000. You can take out that $10,000, but you cannot take out the $15,000 that you gained. It's very easy to set up a Roth IRA. If you don't have one, you can do it at Vanguard, you can do it through Fidelity. I have mine through Vanguard. It's automated. No, I'm not sponsored. Hopefully one day I will be. So the next place your money should be going once you've finished paying yourself is into your big savings, whether you're saving for a wedding, a car, a house, whatever it may be. You need to start saving ahead for those because you don't want to wait till the last minute and have no money saved up for that. By setting aside money every single month for these big expenses, it sets you up in a great position when you do come across that time when you need to make a big purchase. My rule of thumb for saving and investing is a total of 20%, which falls within the 50-30-20 rule, and I have another video on that if you want more information. One system that you can follow for these big expense savings is a bucket system. A lot of savings accounts nowadays have saving buckets that you can invest in. You can put $100 in your wedding fund bucket. You can put $100 into your car bucket and spread it out however you want. This way it's very organized and it's easy to keep track of everything. Now the last part of this section where you're paying yourself first is opening up a brokerage account. This isn't mandatory just because you invested and saved so many times before this, but this is something that you can have open if you want access to that money at all times. Like I said, your 401k and your Roth IRA, you might not have access to that money at all times, but with a taxable account, with money you don't plan on needing within the next 3 to 5 years, you can store in here, have it grow a bit, and then in 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, you can take that out without any penalties. Now that we finished paying ourselves first, we're going into part 2, and this is really the part that no one wants or no one cares about. And that's paying others. When you get paid with your paycheck, you should have systems set up in every single account to automatically pay your bills. You should have a checkings account for your internet bill, your water bill, your electricity bill, all your utilities, your car bill, and everything else. This way you don't need to manually pay everything. But there is a trick with paying your bills, and you need to have self-control. I did mention that you can set this up with a checkings account, but it's more powerful to do this with a credit card because you get points back. See, when you swipe and you're spending on your credit card, every single time you should be getting a certain amount of points depending what you spend on. This way, at the end of the month or at the end of the year, you have tens of thousands of points that you can use back for your statement, or you can use to travel for free like I do. But like I said, you should only do this if you have the self-control of spending on your credit card and you're not gonna max it out and fall into that 25% debt, because then we're gonna have to reverse and go back to step 2. Yep, this is going to be short and sweet, but the last place your paycheck should be going is anywhere you absolutely want, because in step number 1, you took care of your future self by investing and saving, and then in the second part, you took care of everyone else by paying your bills and make sure your water is running. With all the leftover money you have after that, you can spend however you want. You can spend it on a new phone every single week if that's what you care to do, as long as you're not falling into debt. You can spend it on new shoes, new clothes, you can donate it all, you can do whatever you want, because this is your guilt-free money to spend however. See, many people feel guilty when they're spending their money, and that's just really because they don't know where it's going. If you set up systems like this to invest first, to save next, to pay your bills, and have that leftover money, it makes it easy to not feel guilty when you're spending it because you know everything has already been taken care of. So yes, you're allowed to get that avocado toast. Yes, you're allowed to get that coffee in the morning, every single morning if you want to. And I really hope that's a breath of fresh air compared to every other advice. And I really hope that's a breath of fresh air. I can't even say that. I've recorded this like 7 times. I really hope that's a breath of fresh air compared to all the other YouTubers or all the other advice out there. Cut down your coffee. Don't buy that sandwich. Don't go out to eat. So with this, we went over where all your money should go. And if you want an exact system on how to organize that with the 50-30-20 rule, make sure to watch this video next.